All right. 3. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sideline Shenanigans. My name is Bryan Jones. I have Coach Jesse Shale here from Faith Christian High School in Lafayette, Indiana. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about how Faith Christian became a football program, because you guys are a fairly new program. What brought up the idea?
Yeah, there's been a number of people in the Faith Christian community that have wanted football for a while, but at the same time, 1A school, and at that point, a pretty small 1A school, it just wasn't feasible. Our soccer program had already taken off over a number of years. So adding a football team, both from a numbers standpoint and from a cost standpoint, I mean, it's so expensive to get a football program started, really didn't make a lot of sense for much of Faith Christian's history. But a few years ago, due to increased enrollment, as well as some support from some big donors, we were able to pull together an 8-man team. That was a great opportunity that the state of Indiana offered for us to do. So it made it easier when you're concerned about fielding an entire team for an entire season, to know that the numbers don't have to be quite so high. That really gave us the door to go through and start a program. And so that 8-man year, it was a good entryway, and we spent a year doing that. That was great. And then we transitioned to 11 last year. And so we're entering year 2 of 11-man football this fall here in 2025.
Oh, heck yeah. I think it's pretty cool. Because it went from a program with no football to football in 3 years. Because back when I was in high school, there was no Faith Christian football. And I've always wondered, why doesn't Faith Christian have football? Why are they so small? Why, right?
Yeah. I mean, 3 years ago, if you had told me that we would have a football program, I would have told you, probably not. And then, now we're entering year 2 of 11-man football, and we've got a stadium going up too. So it's just been crazy.
How many guys do you have in your program right now?
Numbers fluctuate in the off season, but we're probably in the around the mid-20s at the moment. So
okay.
Yeah. So it's as a coach, I would love to be north of 40, but as a 1A program, I'm also more realistic.
Right.
Those numbers just have been sliding since back when I was still playing high school ball in Northwest Indiana. Graduated in 2002, and even then, the participation numbers were already going down, and so it's been a challenge. It's a challenge for any program to make sure that you're doing the best you can to really serve these kids as best you can, and especially for a school that's new to football, just letting them know, like, hey, come try something out. Come have a little fun. You might be surprised at how much you might enjoy it.
Right. How do you handle a team after a tough loss?
Yeah, I think it's important to probably approach a loss the same way you would any other challenge that you face in life. Because really, I mean, that's part of the reason I love football, is just that transferability from the field to your actual real life game field. And so I think it's important not to ignore the things that went wrong. If you just repeat the same mistakes, you're going to get the same results. But at the same time, to focus on the things that went well, and know that you've got some stuff you can build on. And even if there isn't much to build on, there's something to build on. If for nothing else, that we pick each other up and continue to encourage each other as the season progresses.
How do you? I don't know if you guys have a JV team. Do you guys have a JV?
We do
JV
not.
Team?
We do not currently. No.
Okay. All right. What traits do you look for in the team captain?
Yeah, team captains. It's a mixed bag in some sense in my evaluation, because if you just pick the guy that the coaches want, that may or may not be a player that the other guys look up to. So in my estimation, part of the captain procedure is training people to be captains. Some people have some natural leadership ability, and that's great. but that doesn't mean they always use it well, especially in a team context. And so I think part of that conversation becomes, how are we training our captains? So we get player input on that, but as coaches, we also we have the final say. Sometimes the popular kid isn't always the best suited to lead, and we want to try to take a balanced approach to that.
Okay. So I know Faith Christian has a lot of younger guys since the program is fairly new. How do you teach a freshman who's prepare them for varsity?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things that go into that. One is that even though we are a new program, we don't necessarily only have the younger end of the spectrum as far as age is concerned, but we do play on the lower end of the experience side. Many of our guys had not played football when we started playing a couple years ago. In fact, any experience we did have was probably maybe some elementary youth leagues or something. So that's definitely an opportunity from the ground up to really help anybody. It helps when they have some experience, but either way, it's technique. It's all about the basics. The same things that any long-term successful coach will tell you is important. Those are the same things it is for us when we're getting fresh, new freshmen out there, helping them to understand how they carry their bodies, how they do use proper technique. And oftentimes it's be honest, it's the kids who haven't played, who don't have some of the bad habits formed, that you don't have to uncoach. So there's some advantages to it, but definitely it's a mountain to climb.
Right. Yeah. What kind of offense does Faith Christian run? Is it spread, option, wing, double wing?
Yeah. So if you asked the last couple of years, it was whatever worked. And, part of that was just finding out exactly where our guys had strengths and how to best accentuate those. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But I guess if you could say going into 2025, we'd probably be a spread zone running team is what we'd call us on offense.
Okay. How do you address bad fundamentals and that have become bad habits?
Yeah, well, and again, because most of our guys have only been playing at most a couple of years, the biggest bad habits a lot of times are usually related to just either laziness or effort. Well, I mean, I guess that's the same thing, but laziness or sometimes fatigue. And so that's a part of you have to train with any team, because you get down to the fourth quarter and no matter who you are, hopefully you've been really exerting yourself a lot and pushing the boundaries of your own conditioning. And so imitating that in practice, giving our guys an opportunity to really push themselves and to not allow them to settle for mediocrity. Like they're capable of doing what it is that they need to do, but sometimes they don't believe it until you really put them to the task. So.
Right. How do you set team rules and expectations?
Yeah, some of those team rules just naturally flow from things that make sense from the coach's standpoint. We haven't so far done any kind of player-led rules, though we do encourage our captains to have conversations with us, with the team. There is an element to where a natural outflow of our Christian school is a lot of the Christian values that come into our team as well. And so we try to invest in not only the captains, but also our own players in helping develop their own integrity, their own character, their own relationship with God that hopefully then also influences the way that they interact with each other on the team.
How do you incorporate character development on your team?
Yeah, character development. So naturally, some of that happens during the actual season. You face adversity. Things don't go well either in the game or in practice. And so those are moments that are opportunities for coaches and for player leaders to step in and be an encouragement to help redirect. Off season, though, I think is a super big opportunity there too. The last couple of years, we've had coaches, other mentors on the team, paired up with captains and other key leaders on the team to lead through just leadership training, as well as also just general life things that people go through. I mean, these are kids just like we were at one point, and they're going through the real stages of life, and some of them are going through some pretty serious stuff in high school. So having somebody who can be there to listen, to offer a supportive shoulder to just kind of lean on, those are things that we feel like are necessary to invest in if we really want this team to grow and the individuals to grow.
As like you mentioned earlier, you've been only coaching for 3+ years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's your message to kids who rarely play but work hard?
Yeah, I mean, that message is one that is a hard sell to teenagers, regardless of what the context. But it's you got to continue to invest. That sometimes those returns are going to come a little bit slow at first, but you're going to make breakthroughs. And I think we've made some breakthroughs in the past couple seasons, but it's easy to forget those. It's easy to forget how far we've already come in the first couple years. And so reminding them, hey, we're not there yet, but also look how far you've come, as a vote of encouragement to continue on, to continue pressing on, that the job's not done.
Absolutely. What's your go-to icebreaker or bonding activity?
Oh, well, I don't know that I actually have a go-to one. That's a good question. Yeah, I might have to pass on that question. I don't really know.
Okay. Who inspired you to be a coach?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think probably it was probably, to be honest, some of my teachers, actually, to be honest, and not necessarily the ones that were coaches. I got the opportunity early on in high school to help some kids out with some of their schoolwork as a high schooler through National Honor Society. Got an opportunity in college through my local church to help out with some of the youth program there. And that really gave me that opportunity to step naturally into coaching, which I was already, invested in sports as it was. So the opportunity to help kids out, not only academically, but then athletically, it just made a lot of sense when I was given that opportunity early on. And so I can't say that I necessarily could point to any specific coach, but there's been a number of mentors in my life who took the time to just invest. And that made a big impact on me and impacted my opportunity then when I had the opportunity to do the same thing. So see how many times I can use the word opportunity in one sentence.
Right. What's your favorite play of all time to call?
Goodness. I mean, over all the years that I've been coaching, I mean, maybe this is going to give some things away, actually. No, I don't. That's a good question. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I've been a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, head coach. Sometimes the simplest plays are really it, because I mean, my mind immediately went to like running out of trips, just running a quick bubble screen, maybe even a wide receiver screen coming back in on a tunnel. But it changes, I mean, you fall in love with some of this stuff, but really, I mean, I don't know. I ran the option in high school too, the triple option. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that when, to be honest, more than a play, it's when you just see all the pieces coming together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That would happen with the triple option. You'd run that dive read and you make that pull. You see that pitch read and you either keep it or pitch it. And when that thing was working in motion, it was beautiful. But the same could be said when we were running shotgun option, or we had a passing concept, maybe running a smash route over on the side there. When everybody's doing their job and they're in sync with one another, which is what we're practicing for, it's just a beautiful thing. It inspires me to continue to coach, really, because it's fun to try to pursue that.
Right. Do you have a pregame ritual?
We do. It's not that it's necessarily something that I feel like is set in stone as far as we couldn't change it, but we do have a rhythm to what we do in pregame, and I think that it if you're going to do anything in pregame, it better be to prepare you for the game, right? Pregame. And I think that that's a combination of mental preparation as well as physical. So trying to just balance, getting the guys warm, but not overdoing it. And then also giving them time to think and, prepare on that aspect of it too, but not, letting people just sit around. So we definitely have a routine, but I wouldn't say it's anything like magical. So,
okay. If you weren't coaching football, what would you be doing?
Well, I mean, there's been a number of times in my life where that was the case. I mean, especially the first 5 years I was here at Faith Christian, I didn't have the option to coach football. So, you find other places to invest. I'm a musician as well, so I spend some time, playing guitar, messing around. My daughter is 9 years old, so she's learning piano. Just getting to play with piano with her a little bit is fun. I'm a reader too, so spending some time reading. But to be honest, it's finding things at like junk sales or junk stores, antique stores, and seeing if it's something not only can we use, but maybe I could turn around and fix up or sell or something. So there's a little bit of entrepreneur in there as well that I'd probably be leaning into more if I couldn't coach football.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
I mean, if you ask my players, it might be reflected in the phrase they hear a lot from me. Don't walk on my field. That's a big one. Hey, come ready to work, right? We'll take a rest when we're done.
Right. If you were to have a meal with any coach, past or present, what coach would it be?
I mean, some of the big ones come to mind, but I'm trying to make sure I give my most authentic answer here too, because immediately I think of Bill Walsh. And at the same time, I also know how obsessive he was. And that as a coach right now, I know too that there's, I'm a high school coach. I'm a high school coach of a 1A program. I don't have endless amounts of hours to detail, get into all these details. And even if I did, though, I think I would probably obsess over the details. And that's not a healthy place to be either. You got to get a good places. You got to get into a good balance. But I definitely would probably pick his brain a little bit, grab a meal, and just see what he had to say about a few things. So.
Okay. I've heard like Lou Holtz, Mike Leach, even Nick Saban.
Yeah.
All kinds of coaches. The favorite one I've heard was definitely Mike Leach, the Pirate. Love him. Rest in peace, coach. We love you to death.
That's fantastic. Yeah, my old buddy I coached with last year, he would probably say a similar thing, but he might go back a couple decades or so before Leach, but yeah.
How do you relax after the season ends?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an unwinding period, just tidy up what you need to tidy up, but then just, kind of walk away for a little bit. There's a lot of temptation to just keep fine tuning and already moving ahead to the next season. And those, you can jot down a few of those basic ideas, but for me, there's enough going on with my wife, my daughter, the school where I teach, the church I'm involved in. There's a lot of things that I'm already still involved in as well that, taking a rest from football just means leaning into that a little bit more, but then also some of the stuff on the to-do list you don't get to do. Reading some classic literature, maybe just, enjoying a funny Netflix series just to kind of unwind for a week or so. But
okay, do you guys plan on like going to like 7-on-7s this summer? Like,
yeah, we do have plans to go. We've got I don't even know officially what they're supposed to be called, but a scrimmage.
yeah.
We went down last year to Fountain Central. Coach King down there puts on a scrimmage third week of July, basically every year, from what I understand. And so we're going to go back again for the second year. We had a really positive experience there, and I think it'd be good for the kids too. We had an opportunity to do one or two in June, but we're still building our program. And so part of that is also getting our guys really comfortable. We've got a lot of turnover, or we've had a lot of turnover the last few years. So a lot of that has to do with just upperclassmen coming out to play and then they graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So getting our guys just used to playing the game, we're gonna take advantage of some of that time to just get our feet underneath us, and then towards the end of July, we'll participate in that scrimmage. So,
how do you prepare players who want to play college football if they make it that way?
Yeah, we the thing, the nice, just as a comment here too, even though we haven't had football, we still have athletes at our school that play different sports, and sometimes those athletes, when they decide to play football, depending on the position they play, may have already a lot of natural ability that translates onto the field. And so part of that is just making sure that as a head coach, I'm well connected with, local. I mean, at least in some regard, our colleges that our school is already communicating a lot with, but helping our players to get connected to the opportunities that come. We've got things like the SOS camp that leads into that college showcase in June. Some of my assistant coaches have had connections with other colleges as well, and so leveraging those. Letting these guys know, letting these kids know, I'm not just interested in them for the time they can give me in high school. I'm interested in them utilize, have some fun out there, and then if they can utilize this to something at the next level, let's do it.
How do you manage practice reps for starters versus backups?
Yeah, there's a whole conversation there about practice reps in general. I think it's pretty important that all the guys get quality reps every practice. When it comes to team time and trying to see, ones on ones, ones on twos, especially at a 1A school, actually sometimes too, you don't really have an option that you can go, ones on ones. You sometimes are just trying to make sure everybody gets an opportunity in their total, but there is an element to where you have to remind yourself, you have to plan on that. It's not just going to happen, and it's easy to fall into that, just forgetting of, oh yeah, we got to rotate a few more people in here and get those reps. But that's also too where people can, if they can give them the opportunities to develop on their own, to develop after practice, to give them those opportunities to reach out. So,
what's your approach to player mental health?
Yeah, I think step one with that is how we just interact with our players. What kind of tone do we use with them? Not that we can't be stern, but are we, are we tearing them down? Are we pushing them down? Are we trying to build them up? Are we trying to encourage them as we definitely push them? I think that helps set a baseline. And then, conversations. I mean, it's not easy. You want to get the guys in and out in an efficient way, but building relationships aren't efficient. And part of the way you help a kid with mental challenges, not just, the mental game, which for all of us can be challenging, is to create that environment where they feel like, you care about them as a person. We had the nice part of this is that, in these first couple of years, we've had a couple of our coaches who are also teachers at the school. And one of the things for our teachers at the school is that all of us take a introduction to counseling from the Bible. And so it gives us an opportunity to have a foundation where we can say, like, hey, there's some good truth that we can help with as we navigate life's ups and downs. This past year also too, I had one of our coaches was a youth crisis director. So naturally it fed right into actually a couple of situations where, we got a couple of kids that come from pretty rough home lives, and just trying to make sure that they understand, hey, their mental health is way more important than our football team. And,
absolutely.
And that's hard to make sure that you get across, because sometimes they may feel like all you care about is what happens on Friday night, and there's so much more important things than the final score on that scoreboard.
All right, Coach, how do you balance being a mentor and a coach?
Yeah, that is a tough one. Mentor, mentor does sometimes flirt with the friend zone, if you want to call it that. And that can be challenging because familiarity can start to sometimes erode. I won't say respect necessarily, but sometimes it just erodes a little bit of that natural relationship that has to exist between a coach and the players. So you want it to be present. You want them to be able to approach you as they would someone they're comfortable with, but they have to at the same time understand that someone has to be in charge and someone has to make hard decisions, and sometimes they're not going to like that. So it is a little bit difficult, but I would say it's similar to being a parent. So, some of the stuff we learn in becoming a teacher helps, but then also just becoming a parent helps too. So,
How do you encourage multi-sport athletes?
Hey, if you've got some info on that, we'll take it, because I think that's one of the biggest challenges that not only our school faces, but a lot of schools face. The one sport athletes, it's a killer for small schools. And so part of that is how can we advertise ourselves in a way that caters to the folks who they're invested in another sport. Maybe football is not their number one sport, which is totally fine with me. But how do we say, like, hey, if you're a wrestler, what part would you have on a football team? Or if you're a basketball player, a baseball player, what role might you have on a football team? And just giving them that opportunity to say, hey, come out and try it out. You may be surprised if you like it. And guess what? I don't need to dominate your schedule. There's a lot of diverse roles on a football team for a variety of players. I just want to give people that opportunity to come out and give it a shot, when sometimes, with that one sport mentality, there's a lot where it's good to specialize, but it's not good to obsess. And there is a lot of obsession sometimes. It's a fine line, but it's out there.
Yeah, studies show multi-sport athletes go more. They're more ready for their next season. Rather than for example, for a guy who plays basketball for just that's like 4 months out of the year. If you do I played 2-3 sports. I played football, baseball. I kept myself busy. I was always in the weight room, always, staying busy, staying out of trouble. And my best advice to any high school athlete is get in the weight room, play another sport, and just stay motivated.
Yeah, because to me, I mean, certainly I would love everybody to try football, but even if they don't, I still would like them to be more than just a one sport athlete for the sake of themselves and also the sake of the school. I mean, we're individuals, but we're also all in this together. And so it's something that it's hard to sell, because that you have to put in the time if you want to get better, but it's harder to see on this side. Teenagers are not well known for being far-sighted, people, but to try to encourage them. And to be honest, I'll tell you this too: when you've got a good program going, people enjoy being there, hopefully. So, for people to dedicate themselves year round then to being someplace they enjoy being, it makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. So that's part of it too, is like, okay, yeah, you have a great time there. Keep having a great time. Why don't you come have a great time with us too a little bit? Mix it up a little bit. Mix it up a little.
Right. All right, Coach. I think that'll do it for me. I just want to thank you for coming on and talking to me, having a conversation about football, Christian football. I'm just glad Faith Christian has a football program, because like you said, everybody in that community has been waiting and waiting. All right.
Yeah, we're excited too. And Bryan, I really appreciate you having me on. It's been a pleasure.
All right. I'm Bryan Jones. He's Coach Shale. Thank you for listening.